Today is Tuesday, May 26th. I am home alone and I have gone from being on a smalls bender, I want to start and stitch and finish every single small, to wanting to kit up and start a whole bunch of large projects. So I'm looking at Moonlight Sampler right now by Janine McCowan, the blue flower. And oh, here comes Miso to step on my things. It is stitched on what looks to me like a pinky browny linen fabric in the pattern. And I have purchased a large cut of half a yard of 32 count pink sand. It's a little bit more saturated than what you're seeing on camera right now. Purchased that intending that it would have enough yardage to do both of these patterns if I chose to. And I really love the color of Mystic by Picture This Plus, but I'm stitching on it on Come to the Garden, or rather it's in Come to the Garden. I'm not actively stitching on it anymore, and it is a very tight weave. So a 16 count to me by this company after it's dyed feels like an 18 count. I have issues seeing on 18 count. I need it to be a lighter fabric, a looser weave. And this one is 18 count, which to me dyed up, you know, I think it's going to feel like stitching on a 20, which is going to be difficult for me to see on a good day, never mind the dark fabric. So I would love to see it on this. I don't think that it's going to work. I am considering, this fabric is very, very stiff. It stands up on its own. I'm considering giving it a bath and tossing some RIT dye on it, maybe some purples or browns, and seeing what I come out with. Worst case scenario, it won't work for this project anymore. I'll use it on something else. But I've been on Instagram looking at the limited hashtag function for this pattern, and every color of fabric that I've seen it stitched on looks amazing as long as people adjust to have enough contrast in the text. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go look for some RIT dyes downstairs in my craft room, give this a bath, throw some more color on it, and let it dry, and see where we are tomorrow when there's a bit more daylight out. Hi everyone, today is Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. My name is Lindsay. This is my YouTube channel, One Cat Crafting. I started this channel a few months ago in an effort to meet more crafters. We moved to a new town end of last August, and I've tried several times to set up an in-person craft meeting, and it has never panned out. So this is my next bright idea, to meet some more people that I can chat with about all of the crafts that I do. Today's episode, we have mostly cross stitch and sewing, no reading, no knitting. I find that my personality is always utterly obsessed or completely disinterested. There's not a real middle of the road with me with most things, and I'm happiest when I just do what my brain wants to do. So last week I was thinking, well, I should really knit a little bit so that I have something to show you, or I should, you know, really finish that spinning project that's been on my wheel on my kitchen table for 2 months now. And I just didn't feel like doing any of those things. I just wanted to cross stitch and sew. So I will show you my crafting journal for the month of May. I'm just gonna put my fingers over my husband's face because he doesn't like his face on the internet. This picture is part of a photo from when we went to the Keg for dinner for his birthday. You heard in my last podcast, we went to see The Devil Wears Prada 2 in theaters, and I listened to the audiobook version of Yesteryear. That was all covered in my mid-May update. Since that time, I attended the Spring Mingle virtual cross-stitch retreat, I suppose, hosted by Lindy Stitches. Previously have purchased tickets to the Jingle Bell for a couple of years, and I've never actually spoken with anyone. I pop into the hall, I watch some of their promo videos, I download a freebie if there is one, and then I'm out. But I spoke to all of these people that I recognized from YouTube this time, and I had a great time. At one point, my husband was in the next room, and he could not, I'm pretty loud, he couldn't help but overhear me, and he said, you know, you made the same joke like 4 times, and I was pretty mortified because I didn't realize I was doing that. I was in a room with a few stitchers talking about the amount of shrinkage that Picture This Plus fabric seem to have after they have been dyed. And new people kept coming into the room, and every time somebody popped in and said, "What are you talking about?" the answer was always, "I'm thinking about lighting Come to the Garden on Picture This Plus on fire." So, I mean, I'm sure that's distressing to no one but me, but thought I was doing well with social interactions. This is my craft calendar for the month of May. I wrote down every day that I cross-stitched, what I cross-stitched on, how many stitches. So I will go through those projects with you now in the order that they are in my calendar. So last episode in my mid-month update, you will have seen that I put 72 stitches in on Come to the Garden by Teresa Kogut and did not want to stitch on that anymore. I'm still up in the air about whether I sort of take it apart and work on it ever again or not. We are going up north this weekend for a 3-day weekend, and I think I'm going to try stitching on it outside and see if the extra light from the sunshine sitting on a patio helps me to be able to see what I'm stitching more clearly. Also in the mid-month update, I started and finished the Moon Valentine Small by Bendy Stitchy. Since that time, Spring Mingle, and then I put 516 stitches in on Vanity Sampler by Hello from Liz Matthews. While I am taking that out of my project bag, I'll pop up a photo from the last time you saw this, which would have been at my beginning of the year whip parade. Here is a crinkly pattern photo of the pattern. I have made a couple of changes. I have changed the spelling to be the Canadian British spelling, so I added a couple of U's in where they were required. And I am doing Cam the Stitcher's color conversion. I'll show you those flosses quickly. They are covered in cat and dog hair as per usual, but this is Cam's color conversion. All of it's posted on her Instagram, and she's also discussed it in her older YouTube videos. And let's move my needle minder because it's right in the middle of everything. Look, a length of thread. And this is where I got to. If memory serves, just put in more text. It seems that I really like stitching text. So that's where that one went to for the one day that I picked it up. It will get more work throughout this year. I just wanted to make sure that everything got a little bit of attention, and I'm still working through my list of whips to make sure that everything gets a bit of attention. Put that back in its bag so I don't have a humongous mess in half an hour. These are the bags that up until last week or so I have used for all of my cross-stitch whips and fully kitted projects that I haven't started yet. This is the larger bag. I purchased them off Amazon. These ones I use for my in-progress cross stitches. They have a bit more room for supplies and a hoop. I use the smaller ones for things that have been kitted but not yet started. Next on my list is a new start. It's the Quick Quaker Sal by Modern Folk Embroidery. I don't love a ton of the modern stitches, modern patterns that Jacob releases. I do quite enjoy his dark stitches, or dark crosses, but I really like this one. Particular, it was this color conversion that got me. It's charted in monochrome. I know Roxy Floss Co released some specialty floss for this that has long since sold out. So I just printed off a colored photo and pulled from stash. Most of the colors, if not all of the colors that I used, I thieved from my Roxy Floss Co conversion of Come to the Garden. And then I lost that ring of flosses, and I was like, oh no, too bad, I can't work on it anymore, but then I found them. So anyway, so this was a new start this month since the last time I spoke with you, and I'm gonna get my needle minder off. Again, I have a hanging thread. It seems that my brain is just done when I'm in the middle of doing things, which is fine. I do what it wants. So this is my start on, I think it's called Quick Quaker. It was originally released as a sal, and I am not doing that as a sal. I don't do any mystery anythings. Cross stitches, knits, nothing. I want to know what I'm putting my time into before I start it. I don't think that I have made any mistakes or unintentional changes, as I like to call them. I did have to fuss around a little bit with the spacing on the initials to get my name, my initials spaced out the way that I wanted them. and centered under the acorn. Other than that, I didn't give you stats for my last project. Other than that, I don't think I changed anything here. I happen to have the flosses that I used, so I will go through those. I used classic Colorworks pine needles. Again, these are just things that I had in my stash. Roxy Floss Co. Rose, I suppose. Classic Colorworks Mermaid Fin. This is dark blue. Roxy Floss Co. Mustard Seed. And I used a Weeks Dye Works Rum Raisin, and this would be the only color that I would adjust slightly if I were to stitch this again, which I will not be. It's a little bit browner of a purple, and I would like a more like true purple. Let me grab my iPad and I will give you the stats for where I'm at for the Vanity Sampler and the Quick Quaker. Whoop. Running out of desk space. I do all of my stitching digitally through Markup RXP. When I first started cross stitching, probably about 25 years ago, there were only paper patterns, and I used paper patterns and a highlighter for a very long time. And once I discovered the magic of markup and all of the stats that come along with it, that's all that I was interested in. So Vanity Sampler, I mentioned I put 516 stitches in that. I'll pop up the stats of where I was from my beginning of 2026 WIP parade. I am currently at 2848 marked stitches, or 12.71% complete. And for my Quick Quaker, that was started on May 17th, and I worked on that every day for varying amounts of stitches until May 24th, and then I put it down to work on something else. Quick Quaker, I am at 59.76% complete, or 2,661 marked stitches, with a remaining to-do stitch total of 1,792. Okay, as with before, I'm just going to pack this up quickly so that I can get back to work after my break is done without having to clean up a big mess. This little needle minder is an illustration and a needle minder by Erica Zubris. I use him to keep the frog away because this is my fairy frog mother. I purchased from her on Etsy a number of years ago. At the time she shipped to Canada. I don't believe she does right now, but you can always reach out to her and ask if she will make that accommodation for you if you would also like a fairy frog mother. Next stitches was a start and finish. I've been calling it Strawberry Moon. That's not its name. It's My Sweets by the House of Cam. I'll pop a photo up of that. I started that on Friday, May 29th. I finished it on Saturday, May 30th. I hand sewed it into a little pillow with a ribbon on it that I can use to hang from my pinking shears, and I stuffed it with dried lavender that I purchased from a farm in Canada a couple of years ago. And my last cross stitch project of the month, well, since I've seen you last, was a start on Pigeon and Puddle by the Blue Flower. I have had this one fully kitted for quite some time. The only changes that I have made to it, I was using the recommended Cottage Garden threads flosses and the combination of DMC as how it's charted. This is being stitched on 18 count Earth and Ada by Picture This Plus. I have another fairy frog mother here. This is where I got to. I'll give you my stats on that one. I am 34.31% complete. 1,274 stitches marked of 3713. I did most of this body fill-in yesterday while I was having new brakes put on my car. His little boots are sweet and adorable. I'm really enjoying this fabric. And like I meant, the only change that I made to the flosses was instead of using the Ecru DMC or the Cottage Garden thread that was called for in its place, I pulled a Daffodil Roxy Floss Co, which is like a very light white variegated yellow. So I'll be using that for some of the flowers. I'm using a variegated DMC. There are 2 in this pattern. I've gotten to 1 so far, and it's really pretty. It's used in some of the other flowers and his boots so far. So that is where I have gotten to on that new start that I started on May 31st. Ooh, that's the wrong bag. That was it for cross stitching for me for the month, for the entire month. Well, aside from when I saw you in my mid-month update, for the entire month of May, I stitched 4,708 stitches, which is not bad for me. Like I mentioned, my personality, I like to hop around from craft to craft. Sometimes I don't want to do any crafts. This month I got no reading done, and last month I read like 10 books. It just all depends on what my brain wants to do. And I am done trying to control that. I'm happier when I just do what it is that I want to do. Sewing. I have a few vintage machines. I have one modern Singer serger. His name is Serge. He spends most of his life in the naughty corner. I have a Singer 411G, and I can't remember the model number, 311A maybe. It's called the Featherweight's bigger sister. And I have my great-grandmother's Singer 15, which is not functional yet, but it will be eventually. I do primarily all of my sewing on my Singer 411G. I have thought about getting a modern machine, but the smells from this machine of the grease and the oil that it needs, it's part of the reason why I sew that. That smell is just so amazing to me. So it does everything that I need it to do. It has a couple of fancy stitches. It sews in reverse. That's enough for me. She puts up with all of my BS and all of my lack of knowledge. There's very little that I can do to this machine to cause it to not stitch properly. And those things I can generally fix myself. I can oil it and grease it myself. I have had it in for a professional servicing once in the many years that I have owned it, and it's just a fantastic machine. It's all metal. It's great. And parts are still sort of available on the market if you look for them. So I don't plan on replacing that with a more modern machine anytime soon. I have a big bag full of cross-stitch bags that I sewed up. Oh, before I do that, I forgot. I wanted to start a new Blue Moon pattern, Night Walk Down, and there's another one. And I had a very large Moonlight Sampler. I had a very large piece of pink sand linen that I had purchased for this. And when I pulled it out, I just wasn't feeling this particular linen for it. I didn't love the color anymore, and it was very, very stiff. I went on Instagram, used the limited hashtag functionality, and saw someone that had stitched theirs on a purple, I believe it's Huckleberry Be Stitch Me fabric. That's absolutely stunning. There is a decent weight right now for that, and it's a little bit more than I was ready to spend on fabric. Not saying it's not worth it, but gas prices have limited my crafting budget. So I decided that I would throw some Rit dye on this fabric and see if I could get kind of like a mottled purpley fabric. And the worst thing that would happen was I didn't like the outcome, and I would use this fabric for something else, and I would still need to order new fabric for those Blue Moon starts. So I threw it in a bucket with some aubergine Rit dye, and I put it outside to dry, and I kind of was hoping it would blow away so that I didn't have to make a decision whether to use it or not. It is okay. It is not what I wanted for this piece. It's a massive piece of linen. It's probably a half-yard cut. So I will not be using it for this. It is still, despite having been washed, dried, ironed, all that stuff, it is still very stiff. The fabric, I mean, aside from that, the color's fine. I will use it for something else, but it's not what I wanted after seeing that Be Stitch Me fabric. So I've placed an order through a Canadian, Ontario-based cross-stitch company for a half yard of a different fabric. It is a little bit back ordered. It'll be here in a few weeks, which I mean is fine. I have plenty of other things to do. So this was a little bit of a brown. You can see the splotches, and again, the aubergine red dye. And I just rinsed it until the water ran clear. I will not submerge this when it is stitched on in water. I don't want any bleeding to happen. And I don't know how to fix a dye on cotton fabric. I only know how to do it on wool. So there was that little side quest. On to sewing project bags. I have a whole pile, like I mentioned. My brain's been kind of on crafting tangents recently. I was on a smalls bender and then this sewing. Some of them are already covered in cat hair. I will go through them with you. I have this bag that I've made for myself, same on the front and back. I popped in an orange zipper. The linings are either a natural undyed muslin or this sort of white swirl print. This one happens to be the swirl. What I did for size was take one of the large Amazon plastic bags that I used. I added a 1/2 inch to the top and I cut a couple inches off of the side, made myself a cardboard pattern, and then I stuck to that size unless my fabric was too small, and then I would make a smaller pouch. And I'm thinking now that I'm going to change the dimensions a little bit. It's just slightly off square. So it took me a longer time. This one is a cotton canvas. The others are all quilter's cotton, to match up the top and the bottoms and the sides and stuff to make sure that I had everything together. That's another swirl lining. All of these cottons were, most of them were from my stash. Some of them had been there for 15 years. I think this one is also a swirl lining. So it's nice to get some things out of stash. It was nice to work with that sewing machine. I have more bags to make. I ran out of interfacing and lining fabric. So when I have a little bit of craft budget, that's just plain muslin, I will order more. The interfacing that I used is a combination of Pellon Craft and I think it's a 986 fusible, which is a little bit of a cushier interfacing. I like that one better than the Craft Fuse. I did have previously, many years ago, I purchased a stiffer but very thin interfacing. That's what I had used on some of these earlier bags. And I like that one, but I don't know what number it was, and I haven't been able to like walk into Fabricland and figure out what it was. I had enough fabric to make 2 of that print. This is a smaller one. I only had a little bit of this gas lace print left, so I made a smaller one, and it perfectly fits my little teeny Q-snap that I use for little smalls. So I have got the morbs in there, Modern Folk Embroidery, all kitted up, ready to start. Very few of my active, my works in progress are in bags, so I do still have quite a few more to make. This was the balance of the gas lace fabric that I had. This little girl with her friggin' axe, or hammer, is it hammer? Kills me. Like, that's me when I was a kid. This one's covered in cat hair, and there is an active stitch in there. I think that's Pigeon and Puddle. And last but not least, this one is another canvas fabric. I ordered that from Spoonflower, and it's this guy. Anything else? I've buried my book. Hold on, let me see if I can get a shot for YouTube. That was it for cross stitching and sewing. I'll show you the rest of my May craft journal. I need to put a sticky note on my husband's face again. So that he's not on the internet. This is the rest of my May spread. Photos from the concert that we went to, their tour poster, and a photo of my sweets finish. Again, that's the House of Cam. Intentional modifications on that, I left off the stars. And the text, unintentional modifications are the strawberry is 1 stitch wider than it should be along this whole side. And I used 2 different greens in the little top. Whatever, it's fine. This is my setup for June. Hubman and Chubgirl sticker subscription. July just came in the mail this morning. I'll show that in my next video. Other than that, I think that is it. That's it. Have a great couple of weeks. I will probably be back. I will definitely be back end of May or June, if not earlier. Like I mentioned, we're going up north this weekend, and I'm hoping to get some good crafting time in and have some beautiful photos to show you. Yeah, I'm going to run some photos that I took because I was brave enough to go outside this month, which is an accomplishment. I'll put those in at the end. Have a lovely day. Also, lilies can be fatally toxic to cats. All parts of the lilies, the water that they're in, their stems, their leaves, the pollen. Just FYI, if you didn't know that, don't bring lilies into your house if you have a cat. I'll see you soon. Bye.